Hawaii. What's on the other side of Hawaii? What is the scientific term? People need to, I need to learn what that term is. What's on the other side of the world? The exact opposite side. Like, no matter which direction you go, you end up with that's the other point on the other side. Geography, geometry, geology, that kind of thing. Symmetry, global, geopolitical. You've got Hawaii, actually the opposite of where the United States is, puts you somewhere in the Indian Ocean, south of India, around Southeast Asia, but definitely, you know, in the southern hemisphere, it would be like anywhere from late 30 degrees south latitude to like 38 or 39 degrees, 40 degrees. That is how they made a grid on the planet Earth. Now, it could be a myth, but probably not. We seem to follow that when it comes to flight patterns. The magnetic sphere of the Earth is shifting, but it's always been doing that. As we look at the technology instruments that are dependent using it, the compass, magnetic north, the south, the way it is reading this energy field. It's an electrical field of the planet. So our bodies must also be able to feel that. So if it's shifting, it's changing things at a quicker rate. So we have to respond to that. And we have some records of it. They claim to. I mean, that's kind of hard to believe, but if they have a continuous record of it for several hundred years, you know, somebody's been running this laboratory or observatory, or, you know, making all these readings and recording it. You know, we're supposed to believe that. But if it's in the last 100 years, you know, it's just presumed to be, you know, taken by modern instrumentation, electronic, digital, and there's so many people in the world. Another myth, probably, that, who knows, there could have been more people existing on the face of the earth. I mean, maybe, or maybe not. The Mormons say that, and then you look at this, well, wait, so they had a big war, but there's no record of it? There's no bones. We don't know. I mean, all this stuff is speculation. You know, we can look for the evidence of it, the holes in it. Everybody says, well, where did civilization come before this? How do you go from nothing to all of a sudden people building pyramids, let's say? You know? 5,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago, 8,000 years ago, maybe 9,000, but probably not, because they say that 11,000 years ago was the magnetic, I'm sorry, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself with the theory. Over 11,000 years ago, 11,500 maybe, was the ending of the last glaciation of this current ice age. So the glaciation really had to be caused by something, because it goes in cycles. So then it gets the end of that period, you know, and then things melt. So what causes everything to melt? What are the causes? See, we're looking for the huge, pertinent causation of these enormous global shifts. There is a shift that's supposed to come. We feel it. We really feel it. People feel it like animals feel an earthquake. You know that. If you set up an animal to be natural and undistracted, and you just put it there, like canary in a coal mine. See, they did that. That was for safety, and you have to, you know, see, oh, what happens to the canary is going to happen to you. So the dog senses that, or, you know, other animals, if they're very in tune. Also, humans can just about do that. Although we're not in tune. See, we're in tune to this. We're in tune to, you know, in tune to the this. We're in tune to the, you know, every electronic thing. But what's out there with the magnetic sphere, that's the origin, that's the foundation of all the high technology we have. High tech, high definition, high resolution, high def, TV, broadcast, cable signals, this kind of signals. The Earth has a signal. The Earth has a signal. You can see it sometimes too. It's like the static but multicolor aurora borealis. All these things are from EneRGy. It's EneRGy. That's the generic term for it. Not the exact thing that they use within science, but the overall popularized connotation, but it is denoted. It is denoted. You know when I say energy. Do you have energy? That means are you able to move? Do you have the calories? The, you know, is your body? Are you awake? Are you aware? Can you do it? That kind of thing. That's energy. So if the planet is going through the shift and it's moving and it's showing the compass point, and we have to compensate for that. Everywhere we go, electronically, it has to be compensated for, right? Because we do these amazing things, like we fly in these big metal birds that you can get inside of. They're hollow, and you just sit there and you get taken away. It's like our version of a magic carpet ride, but it's like real for us. But if that pole shifts and if it flips, see, we see it with the sun. What? The sun changes frequently. It's flip, 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 and it's like a 12-year cycle. This is the pattern. So that's also the sunspots. It affects the CMEs, coronal mass ejections. It affects all of that. But the sun is moving in a helix pattern. It's a heliacal pattern. And it's moving somewhere. It's going in a direction. I bet you it's going along its pole. And if it's going along its pole, it's heading in one direction, right? Or it could be going in two directions. We don't know about that. It could be warping space around it and going in two directions at the same time. But space is coming towards it and moving away at the same time. Do you understand motion? I don't know. You know, it's paraphysics to me. But rocket science. If the sun is going, that explains why. If you take, I was going to show you a match. Like friction. The head of the match goes, if you move it quick enough, moving it quick enough ignites it. So that's got to be what happens with the sun. It has to be. It has to be friction. It has to be sparking itself. That to me, in the 3 dimensions, like motion fast, creating friction, generates this kind of heat. But how do these things stay on fire like that? Is it just a fire? It's just sitting there like someone set the fire? Like it's just a piece of matter, a large piece of matter just floating there? Like boom, just all of a sudden, these little campfires, pinpoints in outer space. I don't know, man, if it's either there or motion. We do know about spin now. Apparently we do, because everything looks like it's spinning. You know that we're spinning because you watch the things move around the pole. So when you see stars, you do a time-elapse, or you just sit there and you watch it. They're going like this. If you have the patience, observations were made a lot of years ago. These people are considered great scientists now. I'm making observations too. It's a mental sport. It's a spiritual realm, because I'm not only just thinking about thoughts, it's the ether, it's spirit matter, it's energy. Energy, you see, is spirit matter. Energy is not just the matter, the liquid that moves quicker, vibrates apart, and then the vapors, the air, is so far apart that it's a gaseous, and then it spreads even more apart, it's even more thin. Energy is so thin, it must be like light. It's just, what is light? How does light relate to that? Well, light has to be another form of substance on a higher like resonation. It's so spread out that it just ignites. You can see the inside of it. It's like the color of the Higgs boson. These are like these. It's a subatomic thing that just stretches out like infinitely stretched cosmic taffy that you can see the inside of it just glowing. It moves at different speeds, by the way. It's not like it's a constant, permanent, absolute thing. That it's all relative. They just had to make a measuring stick or a timing stick, like click, like a click on a thing from point to point, space to space, moment to moment. What is the moment? They measure it, and they say, well, it moved this far in this timing of this rate and pace, speed, light speed. It is conceptual, theoretical. Spin causes electric. The energy can then generate light. How is the electrical, magnetism, gravity, light, as well as energy radiations, heat, the sensation of heat into matter, how it speeds up the vibration of the molecules. We have to understand how all of this goes together. This is what creates the shift. So that the coldness comes to certain areas, maybe the weight causes a shift. People think that could, physically flip things. If we end up with much more ice in the south and less ice in the north, that could cause a major imbalance. But seasonally, it shifts and then it comes back, and that doesn't seem to cause any perturbations other than what we see with the moon wobble. So now I end this video supernaturally on the moon wobble, and no matter how anyone's put the data together, I'm working on it myself. You can't figure out exactly what's going on. They say that there's a side of the moon that's always facing us. And why? Because it's reached a stasis. So if we're going on the Earth like 30 times, and this thing goes around, so wait a second. If it's just turning like this, so we could be spinning around it. Why is it impossible that the Earth is actually going around the moon? Why is that impossible? Is that impossible? It actually, I'm just saying for the sake of argument of visualizing this and just looking at the different scientific laws, the theories, the principles of measuring and figuring this stuff out. Because I already said this: if it's a heliacal moving sun, we're trying to catch up with it, spiraling like a slinky after the sun. Are the observations all incorrect because there's a warp of observation? How do we know we're looking out into space in a symmetrical grid, that it's not curved like a three-dimensional parabola grid and somehow having to do with the poles? So when you look at it, you're not really seeing things equidistant. You're looking at things compressed in some places and expanded in others. How do you know that? Because a friend of mine has been reminding me, but this is an age-old theory about what is the direction of travel of light. Is anything traveling on a straight line, or is it all on a curve? So my next question, and I think logically you have to wonder, if it's curving, what point is it curving around? Because the light can go like this, it can go to the right, it can go to the left. Which way is it actually going? Or does it curve and then curve and then curve, like wavy lines? Is it doing that? Then you'd have to decide, okay, if it's modulation frequency, like, we know it is traveling on a wave, but doesn't that wave eventually boil down to a curve, one curve, or a straight line? What is it actually doing? All of these things are mysteries that have to be figured out. Otherwise, we don't understand the universe. If we do not understand the universe, we are not going to be able to predict the global shift that's coming, even though people are predicting it, such as myself. I'm analyzing the predictions of this, the various different theories. We have historical evidence. We have that. We are looking at things, and we are saying things are going on. We're in the middle of this machinery, this clockwork. So we need to understand our place in all of this, the whole cosmos.